Dear Motherhood, this is my love letter to you. Not the roses and rainbows version, but the kind written in spit up and sleepless nights, and side eyes and second chances. Welcome to my Mix Friends. I'm your host, Sabrina. Leave it to my friends. They would say that I am many things with several letters behind my name. That is a humble brag. But the most important job I have is being a mom, a mommy. I'm a mom of a baby girl. She's not a baby no more. She is 13. She made me a mom at 26. And a baby boy um, who is giving me my one more chance at 38. But this podcast is where millennial motherhood meets mixtape memories. In this first episode, this is the intro track into the realest love story I've ever known. So we're all just getting to know each other. So let's just set the stage, okay? And take it back a bit. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how my motherhood journey started. It was 2011. By this time, I had been married for 3 years. I was a full-time ER nurse. My husband had a career already in signing graphics. We had a house. We were settled, a big backyard, 2 cars, a dog. We didn't have a picket fence, but we did have a privacy fence. We were comfortable. We were settled. We were grown. Could we have done more traveling? Could we have done more brunches? Could we have been more outside? Yes, yes, and yes. But we wanted a family. And everything was perfect. So why wouldn't we start a family? Everything was perfect, just like I needed it to be. Not how he needed it to be, but everything lined up and made sense how, in my head, how it needed to be. Sabrina had plans, okay? I was going to control it all. If any of you guys know me personally, you know I am a person with checklists. I like my notes on my phone. You know, right now, if you see my eyes going where I'm looking at my outline, making sure I'm hitting all my points and everything. But I have plans. But you know, motherhood, she doesn't care about like lists and notes and color coded spreadsheets or your maternity leave policy. She shows up messy and loud and life changing, and life is messy and loud and life changing. So, this is my story of doing it the first time and now the second time, and learning that a second chance doesn't mean that you failed, it means that you're ready to grow. So now I am older. As you can see, I have like my gray crown. Okay. I'm wiser. And I feel like even though I'm still trying to figure out who I am, I'm more me than I have ever been. And I feel like that's the duality of the season that I'm in. You know, am I doing better or just doing it different? What I can say is this motherhood, the season of motherhood, it feels softer, but it does feel heavier. Heavier with the weight that of what I know now versus what I didn't know when I was 26. And then also heavier with guilt, but also with grace that I need to give myself. So, okay, let's talk about getting one more chance and let's talk about mom guilt. All right. So, this is to all of my millennials. Okay? Do you all feel like you have to be perfect? Or is it just me or a few of us out there? I feel like I have to be perfect. I struggle with all or nothing thinking. I'm highly critical of myself, and I do. This is gonna be hard for me to say, but at times I do feel like I have unrealistic standards. I'm not saying 100% of us are like that, but these feelings that, you know, if you don't meet expectations 100% of the time, can tend to lead to guilt because we can't do it all. So, like, I feel like if I take things on and, I do things, and I fail at the things that I take on, like everything I take on, I have guilt because I let people down. And because I was too rigid and controlling, you know, and I think that kind of hampered my need or ability to ask for help. You know, then my friends are probably like, girl, you still don't ask for help. My husband is probably like, you still don't ask for help. But I feel like I do now a little bit more, but I don't need y'all to clock my tea. Like Madison, my daughter, her name's Madison, she'd be like, I don't know how, don't clock my tea. Or is it clock my tea? I don't know. She's gonna be mad at me once she sees this video. But I do see a change in myself, and looking back, I do feel like, going through motherhood, the first time at 26, I probably, you know, didn't ask for help where I needed the help, you know, or focused on it, and that guilt eats me up, especially when I think about how rigid I was with my daughter, at you know at at that age, and how everything had to be just so. No, I wasn't like, I'm not gonna say I was rigid in a sense of like strictness where um, you know, she couldn't play with certain toys or what, like I wasn't like that. It was just me being 26 and over functioning. I had lists, I had charts, I had timelines, and I was doing the most. I wanted everything to be right so bad. And because I was so rigid and focused on those timelines and tasks and milestones, like I just missed out on being present. So that's what I say when I say I was being rigid, because I was so focused on what I thought was important. Um, and I mean, yeah, that those things are important to some. Um, though those things are definitely important. Like you definitely want to make sure your child is meeting milestones, but every child is different, and you understand that as you get older, and everybody moves at their own pace, and of course you need to follow up. This is a nurse plug. Follow up with your pediatrician or your healthcare professional, make sure your child is doing okay. But every child has their own pace that they move and grow at. But now I get to do it again, but differently. But like now, I don't care about the milestones. I he'll get there when he gets there. Everybody's like pushing him to like, they're like, Sabrina, you should buy a little baby potty. I'm not doing that. I mean, yeah, I don't feel like changing diapers much more often, but I'm in no rush to rush this little baby out of my life. He still has a pacifier. Um, he doesn't have it when he's in daycare, but that's how he soothes himself. So, I mean, eventually we'll let it go. I'm not like gonna be having him walking around with it when he's 9 years old or nothing like that. But I just like, and he's 18 months. I'm just like not gonna. I'm not in any rush like I was with baby girl. Like at 11 months, we were cutting the pacifier like nipple off. because I wanted to wean her off of it because that is what I saw on the internet. No, we're not doing that. I'm tired. Okay? But with my son, I'm learning how to slow down, you know, let him play in the mess, even when it's killing me inside. I, you know, it kills me that he is always in dirt playing in mess and he looks like a dirt ball because I want him to be clean and smell like a baby and a clean baby and all the things. But I also have to realize he's a boy. And, you know, sometimes boys are dirty, or most of the times boys are dirty. But that's just me and my internal struggles. But I am learning to, let it go and enjoy the moment and, you know, slow down and laugh at the funny stuff. But here's what I'm learning: guilt is not proof of failure, it's proof that you actually care. You can hold yourself accountable and still be gentle with yourself. You can want to do better, obviously, but without beating yourself up. And like, it's okay to be who you used to be, but as long as you're getting better. I just hope that my daughter, she sees it and she gives me grace. I hope she doesn't look at me any type of way and say, you didn't treat me like that when I was younger. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just a different season. It's just different. Like I said, the more you grow, or you learn more. So you just do things differently. So I just hope she gives me grace, and I hope she knows by doing this or by having a second shot at being a mom later on in life, it is allowing me to be a better mom. So, wanted to move into another topic of waiting until the time is right, because that is another part of, I guess, one more chance, or, you know, another like multi-layer thing of, you know, me being like controlling and checking off the list and everything. So the transition I wanted to provide here is guilt, because it's still kind of guilt trippy and stuff like that. So guilt will actually follow you from baby to baby, I guess. Like, well, it did for me. I don't know. I only have 2 kids, so the mothers with more children, you can tell me. Or if you didn't have mom guilt or anything, great. But guilt follow me from, Madison to my son MJ, to baby number 2. But something else followed me too, though. Like I said, wisdom. But with that wisdom also came like understanding that I didn't need to rush or anything. And I waited 12 whole years to have another baby. We'll get more into that story in another episode, but I think it's important to lay the groundwork so you can kind of understand how I got here. So this is where like the multi-levels come in. I know, sorry if you were trying to follow me. I was having like some little brain synapses misfire, and I was trying to make make the connection. But here is where like my controlling aspect came in, where it's about to come in. So after I had my daughter, um, you know, no time felt right. Okay. And I was not happy at my job. I feel like after my daughter, I jumped around from job to job for about a good 5 years. So in my mind, that meant that I did not save up, you know, annual leave or sick leave. How in the world was I going to take off if I had another baby? Um, how are we gonna get paid if I need to take maternity leave, all of those things. So those things were on my mind. So like I was like calculating, checking and all the other stuff, and like I just knew like I didn't like this place. I didn't like this place. I didn't like this place. Or like other things happened where I just had to like leave a job, you know, or it just wasn't fitting for me. But, I really didn't get settled at a place that I liked until 2015. And that was like I said, she was about 4 or 5 years old by the time that happened. So I was like, no, we're not doing that. Okay. But with that, the time never felt right. And then with Madison, I had major complications surrounding my first labor and delivery, and I was terrified. But the main reason is because I felt that my life had to be aligned. And I know I'm not alone in that. I feel like a lot of us millennials are choosing to take our time to build our careers, to secure the bag, to take that girl's trip, whatever is important to us. And I think around that time when I started the new job where I was comfortable at, that I'm still at to this day, um, that's when like my friend group started popping. Like we were going out. We were like, you know, I'd never been to like wine festivals. We were going out to wine festivals. We were like, we were having a great time. So having another baby was never like in my mind because I'm like, I want to be outside. I want to party, and I have to already juggle finding care and for one child when I want to go out and have a good time, that's going to be hard trying to figure out what I'm going to do for another child. So it just it just kind of went by the wayside, and slowly 30s crept in, then mid 30s, and then mid to late 30s. And then it was like, oh my goodness, like I'm almost I'm almost 40, and that like scared me because I still thought I was 35. But anyways, circling back, millennials, I feel like we are choosing when we want to become moms for the most part. But here's the real question. Like, does waiting like really make it easier or just different? You know, with baby boy 12 years later, am I all the way in alignment the way I want to be? No. I I want, I want so many things. That's the operative word. I want so many things. Do I need them? No. Okay? But I just don't feel still in alignment. So even though we can pick when we have our family or decide when we have our family, our lives will never be in full alignment. I'm still trying to drink 80 ounces of water and mind my business. I and take my vitamins. Motherhood has snatched my edges and my peace like it did in 2011. But I'm just in a different space and I'm just letting things flow. And if and it will happen. Everything will align how it's supposed to align and get in a place how it's supposed to get in a place when it needs to get in place. That's how I am, how I kind of operate these days. And this is what it is what it is. That I have a lot to say on that, but then I feel like this would turn into more than what it needs to be. But as far as my son, I was not at that time of 38 years old, I was not planning to have him at that time. We always wanted another child. I said if we did not have another child by 40, or by the time I turned 40, then that was it, because I felt like for me, I know a lot of mothers do that, but for me, that would have been a lot and too much, looking on it now, being, the age that I'm at, 39, about to be 40. Oh my God. Um, Looking at it and now dealing with a toddler, that's a lot. That's a lot. So, and I'm constantly tired. My husband's tired. Like we try to dedicate all the things we can, but like our mental capacity and our bodies are tired. Versus when we were 26 and 25, we could play all day and laugh all day, stay up all night, do all the things. So it's just different. It's just a different space. It's a different time. And you notice that as you get older. Both have pros and cons. But you know what? Either way, someone is going to have something to say. The world will guilt you either way. Too young, you're irresponsible. You're not ready to have children. You don't know what it means to have kids. You don't make enough money. You ain't got things situated. You too old. You geriatric. You tired. But everybody gonna have something to say. Just if you want to have a family, just go ahead and have a family. There's never gonna be a perfect alignment, okay? But here's what I know right now. Being ready, that's fake news. Fake news, okay? You will never be fit enough. You will never have traveled enough, okay? You will never have done enough. Just do it. There is no real preparation. You are never fully ready for motherhood. Even if you have all your finances in order, if you have the perfect house, nothing will ever really prepare you for it. These kids come out of you as their own people with no manuals to their personalities. Yes, there might be books about how to change a baby, how to wash a baby, how to feed a baby, breastfeeding, all that other stuff. But these babies are people. And, you know, raising them to be good people is, yes, of course, helping them or having them survive and live is important. Learning how to take care of them is important, but raising them is also the most important job. And you just have to meet your baby where you are and grow together. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go into another segment. It's called Mixtape Memory. And that got me thinking. The last, little discussion got me thinking that every mom has a track or two that she wishes that she could remix, a moment that she could rewind if she could. So let's hit Mixtape Memory. And I'll tell you guys about a time I was deep in my everything has to be perfect era, and I missed out on, you know, the joy of just being present. So as you guys can see, this is a reoccurring theme of being perfect with me and missing out on everything. So let's rewind a mixtape memory. So I remember when baby girl was a week old, and at that time I was out of it. I know now that I was depressed. I had prepared for everything but that. Why would I be depressed, I'm a strong Black woman. I got a man. I have all of the family support that anybody could ever want. My baby's cute. She was cute. And yeah, my baby was cute at a week old. Like, I got pictures to prove it. But however, like every time I held her, she just cried and cried and cried. And that made me cry. And that wasn't what I saw in movies. It wasn't butterflies and rainbows. It wasn't sunshine and butterflies. And that wasn't the bond that, you know, people talked about when they were talking about, you having a baby, or like that special bond that a mother and a daughter would share. And it got me like, I got very like in my feelings. Like I was also having, now I said like I know like what that was, with my son. I was very like present in my feelings, and I would speak out like if I was feeling any type of way. But like, I just was also dealing with other things too. So like that, her crying and us not like, I feel like us not bonding, it like broke me up. But and it was back when, like, this was 2011. Doctors were not checking on you, calling you. They like at your appointment, you had your little 6 week appointment, and they'd be like, "Okay, you good? Okay, girl, bye." The pediatricians weren't checking up on you this time around. You know, I have gotten like 2 week checks, calls from the doctor, checking up. I've been needing to fill out screening forms every time I went to like the my son's well child visit. I think up until his first year, I had to personally fill out like depression screening forms because they wanted to check on the mom. And I filled out like a question that was, it was off. It wasn't like alarming, but it was off. And the pediatrician called me to check on me and make sure I had resources. They didn't have that back in 2011, 2012. So the fact that this is like a thing now, and that is a big deal. And I'm glad that moms have that availability. But, you know, back then I was just scared to speak up. Um, Nobody was talking about it, especially not in Black households. I thought I was being dramatic, overwhelmed, and just too emotional. And that's why I'm sharing this. And because this mixtape isn't just full of hits, like I just like want to let you guys know this, like when I talk to you guys, this won't just be like, oh, Sabrina's just talking about good times. No, I plan to be talking about real truths. And my story is just like a lot of other moms' story. There's going to be some scratched up tracks too. And just because they're scratched up tracks doesn't mean that you don't love them. Okay? And they matter just as much. They are a part of a full album of motherhood, and they make me who I am today. And because of that experience, you know, I may come across like the people who are pregnant. If you've ever like come in contact with me while you've been pregnant, or like right after you've had your baby, um, you know, I'm sorry, but this is why I am the way I am. So if I'm like pushy, it's just because I'm being an advocate. I'm already an advocate because I'm a nurse. Like that's my background. But those feelings are weird. They're like very weird. And you can't like, it's hard to like verbalize those things. And someone needs to say that out loud. Like it's okay to have intrusive thoughts. It's really okay. And they're normal. They're normal. You just need to say, I need help. You have hormones floating all around your body, and they make you crazy, and you need the support. Okay? All women are like that. That it doesn't happen to everybody, but it's okay. All right? And even if it's talk therapy, I'm not saying like you need to, like, anybody needs to get on medicine. I'm not advocating that. Talking to your friends, talking to a therapist, talking to your doctor, anything. Just verbalize what you need, and that helps. That helped me. It helped me. So we'll explore more of the mental health aspect and therapy and all that other stuff in a future episode because I am big on it, but I just wanted to like highlight that. But looking back on it now, I wish somebody to tell me that you can love your baby and still feel lost, that you can be grateful that you have this new life and still feel like you're drowning. But instead of slowing down and understand those feelings when I was 26, I tried to outrun those feelings with structure. If I couldn't control how I felt, then I was for sure going to control the schedule. I was going to control the feedings. I was going to control the nap times, the wipes, the visitors, the socks, the everything, the pacifiers, the clothes, all of the food, everything, everything that that touched my child. Like I was going to control it because I felt out of control in my head. That was my rigid era. So, and that was my side A. Okay, so let's flip the tape. So, just I thought it would be good. Another thing to do is just like since it's focused on like mixtapes and um, old school hip hop and R&B. Like that's like the vibes I'm going for to like do a side A, side B, each podcast and like compare and contrast like different things. So this week we're gonna do side A, 26-year-old me when I had my daughter, and 38-year-old me when I had my son, and like some things that I did now that I got the second chance. Okay, so side A, first thing, breastfeeding felt like a competition, and I failed horribly. I felt like I failed. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know insurance covered breast pumps. I don't even know if they did back then. Maybe they had just started to. Somebody randomly gave me one. I didn't know all the things that I knew now. But anyway, I got upset, like I said, when she didn't meet milestones like others in her age. And then I cried when she missed milestones, thinking that something was wrong with her. I refused help because I thought that if I was asking for help, that meant that I was failing. And I don't know how many times I got to say this because y'all probably think I'm crazy by now. Everything was timed to the second, and I'm sure I drove my husband crazy. I still do, probably. But he loves me, and I love you too. Okay, so side B, if that is best, okay? My rest is sacred. Um, that is it, and that is all. I still breastfed my son, and I did it longer, but I didn't subscribe to the amounts that I pumped, and I didn't equate the ounces with me failing versus not failing. I supplemented with formula when I needed to, and guess what? He is okay. He is walking around, running around, terrorizing everything. He's fine. Um, Milestones are moments, not measuring sticks. That's what I've also learned. I'm not rushing to do anything. This is my last baby, even though my doctors keep asking me because I'm still in childbearing age. And I said, "Are you crazy? You just told me next year it's time for me to have a mammogram." Those things don't go together. I know they go together for some, but for me, in my life, they do not. Um, but anyways, the milestones, I'm enjoying it. Not enjoying the pinching or the tantrums, but, you know, right now the baby talk, and I love it. And I don't care that he has 7 or 8 teeth right now. I don't care. I don't care where the rest of his teeth are at. He's eating like a grown man. I could care less. I ask for help now, or I try to ask for help. It still is a struggle, but I do ask more. There is still a schedule because we got to at least have like something, like a general understanding of where we need to be. But sometimes we rarely stick to it. It's just like a guideline now. And it just irks me. It does irk me because I am schedule driven, but the world hasn't come to an end. Nobody got lost. Nobody has died. My family's good. We're good. So sometimes I can let the schedule go. And, some habits of my 26-year-old rigid self try to creep back in, and that's perfectionism. She doesn't die easily. She doesn't go away easily. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to fight for softness. I am focusing on laughter in the chaos. Trying to focus on presence over performance. That's what I'm trying to do. Because this time I understand and I know how fast it goes. Because every time I look at my daughter, I'm like, you're going to be 18 in 5 years. Like, you're going to be 18 in 5 years. And, like, I'm going to be back at PTA meetings in the elementary school in 5 years. It's crazy. So, anyways, to close it out, mamas and my other peeps, here's a mom bar for the soul. Sometimes being a better mom doesn't mean doing more. It means doing less with more intention. If you're a struggling mama, it's not because you're failing. It's because you care. And that already makes you better than you think. So here we are, 2 babies, 12 years, one big remix. I hope you guys enjoyed this first track. It's, this podcast is my space to be real, rewind, and raise these babies with less pressure and more presence. I'm sorry if like you first listen to it and the sounding is off, or you hear my hoops hitting my AirPods. Like, I'm sorry about that. I'll fix that for next time. This is all new to me. Please give me grace. This is my friends and my husband telling me to just go ahead and record and do it. And I don't need a whole studio, because if it was up to me, I would have rented out a studio to do this. Who am I? Right? I feel like everything has to be perfect. So this is me letting go and starting somewhere and just seeing how it goes. But anyways, next week, we're keeping it all the way real with giving you a little snippet with sending my love and my sanity. We're going to be exploring emotional labor and love through exhaustion. So if you've loved this episode and you want to get notified about next week's, subscribe on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you're vibing, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at the Mom Mix Pod. And I'm also on YouTube for visuals, and eventually some behind the scenes and shorts will be on there. And basically tell a mama to tell a mama. And we're out here healing, laughing, and growing together. This is the Mom Mix. We don't skip tracks. We play it all. Catch you guys on the flip side. Peace, love, and baby wipes.